So here's a fun fact. Up until very recently, I had never seen the Alien films. It came up in a discussion with Agro recently, and I was like, oh yeah, I've never just done that. So, that led to us making a trip to Walmart. We picked up the quadrilogy box set, and I watched all of the Alien films, and I thought I would talk about them. So, I'm talking about them. This is a great video. So first off, I want to talk about the two beloved installments of this franchise, Alien and Aliens. And holy shit, these movies are so deserving of every little bit of praise and hype that gets poured onto them. People always hype these things up as like, they're these great masterpieces. One's a masterpiece of suspenseful sci-fi horror. The other one's a masterpiece of sci-fi action. And yeah, no, like, people aren't fucking around when they say that. And, you might be thinking, well, no shit, Zeon, like, everyone knows the Alien films are a masterpiece, everyone says they're a masterpiece, but the thing is, though, you can be told something's a masterpiece, you can be told how great it is, how influential it is, and, you can even, like, know exactly what, like, the thing is, like, beat for beat. I mean, like, the original Alien film, I feel, is so ingrained into, like, the cultural zeitgeist that even if you haven't seen it, you probably know the beats to the film. A bunch of people on a spaceship, they land on an alien planet. One of the guys gets the, like, iconic face hugger latched onto him. Then later on, there's the dinner scene. And then, the other iconic scene from the film is, like, the chest burster breaks out and runs off. And then that thing becomes the giant xenomorph, like the monster face of the franchise. And just murders the shit out of everyone until Sigourney Weaver's character goes and knocks out the airlock and, beats it. And, like, so if you've never seen that movie, like, you probably already knew all of those things. Like, you already knew that Sigourney Weaver was, the character that's going to live. You probably knew all the little beats of the film. And you probably knew his reputation as this really intense, atmospheric sci-fi horror film. But until you've really goddamn experienced it, like, I don't feel like you're doing yourself justice. Like, you really need to, like, check this goddamn movie out and see it for yourself. Especially if you're like me and you skipped all those, and you've seen, like, AVP and you saw Prometheus. And, like Prometheus, like, I'm like, okay, fine, it's Ridley Scott going back to his franchise, and I see it, and I'm like, now thinking about Prometheus in the context of having seen Alien, I'm just like, Ridley Scott, man, what the fuck happened to you? Like, you were an auteur, you were a fucking visionary, you were goddamn amazing. And it's really weird to see this man go back to his old franchise, decades later, and, he's pulling a lot of, kind of like the same pacing and structural things that he pulled from Alien, but, he pulls a lot of the, like a lot of visual iconography from it, but then just, it looks worse. Like, like visually, it just kind of, everything just looks a little too clean, too sterile, a little too manufactured, but then, like, you go and watch Alien, and everything just looks, grounded and lived in and uncomfortable. I mean, like, like the ship itself, like the ship that they're on, the Nostromo, it looks, like some old, worked on fucking machinery, and then you go to the living quarters, and that's all white and sterile and clean, and, and even that's kind of uncomfortable because of just how, like, how it contrasts with the rest of the ship, and also how it contrasts with the alien ship, the space jockey ship where the xenomorph comes from. You go on that, and, like, just, it's the same type of architecture that shows up in Prometheus, but it's just, it looks a little slimier, it looks a little grittier, just the cinematography, everything about it just gives it this weird life. And if you've seen Prometheus and not Alien, you're like, okay, well, I pretty much know what Alien is. No, just fucking see Alien. It is such a good goddamn movie. I mean, I know you've already probably been told this a million goddamn times, but until you've actually seen it, you really don't understand just, like, the slow build atmospheric piece that it is, when you really just allow yourself to get sucked into, like I said, that atmosphere, feel the tension that mounts from this film. And honestly, like, I wish I could have seen this film without, like, knowing everything about this movie. Because, like I said, cultural zeitgeist, everyone knows what Alien is, what the whole plot beats are of these movies. But I really wish I could have gone in completely free of spoilers. And I know this video is kind of, ruining that. But like I said, it's too much part of the culture. You can't not be spoiled and know what Alien is. But I really wish I could have gone through this film having not known anything. Because the beginning of this movie, like, it doesn't really set up Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's character, as the protagonist. She's just another member of the crew of the Nostromo. If anything, it's like the captain guy, like, he feels like, he's the main character. You had that slow panning shot through the hallway into, like, the chambers. The first chamber to open up is the one with that dude in it. You see him. He has, like, the first lines of dialogue. Everything kind of seems to be centered more around him. And then you see all the other characters. And, like, everyone gets, like, a fair amount of screen time. And, you get to see a little bit of their characters, come through. But it's, it's the captain of that ship that really feels like, he's meant to be the main character. And then, he gets the fucking face hugger attached to him. And I imagine it's supposed to be like, oh shit, they just killed the main character. Whoa, wait, what? And then they do the fake out where, like, the thing comes off. And it's like, oh. But then, the boom, the chest burster scene happens. And now he's dead. That guy is dead. So then you're in this state of, oh shit, they actually did kill the main character. Like, who's, like, it gives you that feeling of anybody could fucking go. And that, like, I can only imagine what this film could have, like, what this film felt like seeing it in theaters back in 1979. It must have been just so fucking terrifying and goddamn intense because, I was already sucked into this film's, atmosphere and aesthetic and like, getting into, like, the mounting tension. So I can only imagine what it would have been like seeing this movie with completely fresh eyes, not having it spoiled for me at all. And then there's the second film, Aliens, directed by James Cameron, one of the most beloved directors of all time. Honestly, I'm not that huge of a Cameron fan. Like, I like the Terminator movies, like the first two that he directed, obviously. But, like, I didn't like Titanic. I really didn't like Avatar. I feel Avatar's, like, the most hyped up thing ever. And it's kind of funny because kind of like how, like, Prometheus felt like Ridley Scott was going back to the well, trying to, like, recapture, like, rekindle that old, glory and, like, back to his prime. Like, Avatar kind of felt like that, like a really clean PG-13 version of Aliens, where it's just like, alien planet, fucking space marines, like, you have, like, the mechanized suits. There's a lot of little things. I was just like, and, like, the space marines themselves, they're the same kind of, like, stock archetypes that you would expect to see in, like, a movie like this. And it's like, oh, okay, like, these guys were all the cannon fodder. But, like, I cared a hell of a lot more about the characters in this movie. It's like, they did little things to just give them these little bits of personality, like their banter back and forth, kind of, even though, like, it's like, oh, it's a traditional, space marine characters. Like, he does a really good job of kind of making them feel a bit more real, a little bit more layered and human. So, like, when some of them started dying, even though I knew that that's what they were there for, I was just like, oh, man, I really like that guy. Shit. Ah. And, like, that says a lot about, like, a movie like this where you take in, like, the big meathead, fucking space marine guys, and it's like, oh, damn, I actually cared about that one. And that one, too. And I kind of like these guys. So, like, I actually gave a shit when they started just getting fucking offed. So that was nice. And I feel like, just, like Ridley Scott, like, James Cameron he isn't what he used to be. And, and this is another film that's also kind of permeated the cultural zeitgeist. You kind of know the beats. Like, they're getting Ripley back in, and, she's going to this planet with, whether or not it's the same planet from the first movie is irrelevant. Yeah, she's going to a planet with space marines, and they're going to fight hordes of fucking aliens. And, like, the whole big climactic finale with Ripley, like, in the mechs, in, like, the little mechanized worker suit. And, she's, like, fighting the queen alien. Like all those things, you know those beats. You kind of know where this film is going right from the beginning of it. And if you've seen, any of like the posters or the iconography from this film, you pretty much know exactly where this film is going to go and how it's going to pace out. But it's goddamn, like, it's such a good fucking movie regardless. Like, a lot of people will debate back and forth which is the better Alien installment. Alien or Aliens? And it always kind of seems to be like the same crowds that are debating. It's like, you know, kind of like, you know, the more sophisticated reviewer types will tell you Alien. Alien is the better film. It's atmospheric, it builds tension, it does this, it's that, you know, and, you know, Aliens is just a big dumb action movie. And then, like, you know, the people, you know, like, kind of like your average, you know, movie-going public, you know, the type of people who are like, oh, it's such a cool fucking action movie, but god damn it, really is like that masterpiece work of action filmmaking, you know, because it actually still builds tension like the original film did. You know, it's not that horror tension, but it is just like, are these guys going to survive it? Are they going to be able to cut their way through all these aliens? Because it's not just, you know, space marines, guns wielding. Oh, I mean, there's a good bit of that, but you know, there's also things like where like they're setting up turrets and they're trying to, like, you know, hold off these swarms of xenomorphs, and it's like it actually builds tension because you don't know like how these scenes are going to pan out for these characters. You know, what the xenomorphs are going to do, where they're going to pop up next. Yeah, and it's just such a rad fucking movie. And I can understand like where that actual debate comes from, like which is better, Alien or Aliens. And I'm like, fuck it, they're both goddamn amazing. Like if you twisted my arm and made me pick one, I would have to go with Alien because I do prefer like atmospheric, like slow burn sci-fi that's like, you know, like more character centric. Though like the characters really are that nuanced or layered in Alien. That's still like my kind of film, and I always respect well-crafted horror because I feel like a well-crafted horror film is more difficult to make than a well-crafted action film. Because a well-crafted action film, you just need to have well-shot action sequences that look really cool with characters who are cool, and like I feel like that's easier to write than to write characters that you have to try and give a shit about, and also, you know, create this tension, this sense of dread, and, you know, keep your audience on edge throughout the film. Like I feel like that's a more difficult thing to do. So like well-crafted horror I always have more respect for than well-crafted action. But they're both great. They're both great films. Both, if you've never seen them, if you're like me and you just never got a chance to see them, go fucking see these movies. Just, you know, like I said, like this was $25 for all 4 movies. You know, the other 2 probably are not as great. Okay, you know, they're not as good. I've already seen them. They're not as good. But the first 2 are goddamn masterpieces. Even if you don't want to spend that, like the $25 to get it, I think like Walmart's carrying them all for like $8 a piece. So you can just grab the first 2 for like $16 instead. But yeah, these movies, like these first 2 movies, goddamn awesome. I'm so glad I finally fucking watched them. You know, I watched the director's cuts for both, and yeah, like, you know, they're fucking great. Awesome movies, no shit. I'm like the 10th billion person to fucking say this. Nothing original here, folks. But goddamn it, man, I fucking love those movies. They were so goddamn good. And then next time, I will be talking about Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection and talk about this franchise's very quick fall from grace. Till next time, Zeon, out.